Hi, welcome to Bridges to Community. I'm Sarah Turcott, Area Community Liaison for Bridges by Epic.
And I'm Erica Lab, Executive Director of Bridges by Epic in Westford. Welcome to the show. We are so happy to have you back, and we're happy to have today's special guest, Laura Rocha. Laura is a certified dementia practitioner, and she's the Community Development Executive Director for ActivMed Practices and Research. She's been working with ActivMed for over 5.5 years, helping to educate the community about clinical research being done right in our own neighborhood. She's also worked with the Alzheimer's Association, doing presentations and trainings on the top 10 signs for Alzheimer's disease. Pre-COVID, she was on the committee for the city of Methuen to create an age and dementia-friendly community, which also we've been doing here in Westford. Her passion is to help eradicate the terrible disease we all know as Alzheimer's by bringing awareness to the public about the importance of research to find a cure for Alzheimer's disease. So that's a mouthful. Thank you so much for being here. We're honored to have you here with us today.
Yeah, we're thrilled to have you here. You know, as you know, at Bridges by Epic, you know, being a part of the dementia advocacy and dementia friendly and dementia research, it's true and near and dear to our heart. So we're thrilled to have you here to explain to our audience some of the available resources to them. And, you know, I know we know what dementia care is, but if you don't mind to just share with the audience, you know, what is dementia? Is there differences between dementia and Alzheimer's? That would be a great way to start.
Absolutely. One of the things that people don't understand is that Alzheimer's is a disease. Dementia is a symptom of a disease. So in a case of a headache, you have a headache, but you don't know what the headache is from. It could be tension, it could be high blood pressure, it could be from diabetes. Again, with dementia, it is a cognitive impairment that is caused by many different elements. So Alzheimer's is one of the highest reasons why we get dementia. And so if someone has a dementia diagnosis, it doesn't mean they have Alzheimer's disease. However, at least 65 to 70% of people that have been diagnosed with dementia have Alzheimer's disease. So one of the things that people want to do is to get a memory screening so that they can determine whether or not they have cognitive impairment. So there are 3 different levels of cognitive impairment, and at those different levels they need different care. So the mild cognitive impairment is typically where you can get into research studies. However, we do right now have a research study going on for moderate, which is unusual and wonderful that there is something available, because by the time you get to a point where you're moderate, you're past the ability to get involved in research. Yep. So some of the other reasons why you might have dementia could be a UTI. So when someone comes in for a free memory screening, they determine that they have issues with their cognitive impairment. The first thing we do is talk to them about the research studies that are available and recommend they see their doctor.
Because, you know, a lot of people say, oh, I'm having some memory issues. There's thousands of things, literally, that could be causing a memory issue. So we always say, don't be afraid to find out, because even if it's worst case scenario, there's things you can do. There's studies, there's medications, there's treatment options, no matter what it is. So it could be great news that you know, have a small infection that's causing it, or you need a med change, or something dietary like B12 deficiency, and maybe it is dementia, but at least you'll know, and then you can move forward with your plans.
Well, exactly.
I was going to say, we all know that there's reversible and irreversible types of dementia.
Absolutely. For instance, my mother-in-law, when she would have a UTI, she would have all kinds of symptoms of cognitive impairment. And the first thing we learned to do was to get her back to the doctors and have her get a urine test to find out. There are other things like diabetes can cause issues with the brain. And if you can get if you don't know you're a diabetic because you haven't been tested for it, there hasn't been something that has given your physician an indicator that he should be testing you for diabetes, it could be causing that as well. Right. So there are so many different reasons why you might, but if you're proactive in your own health and making sure that your dementia or your impairment your memory loss is normal aging. It could be something that's treatable, and it also could be Alzheimer's disease.
Right.
So, but knowing what the issue is the first step.
Absolutely.
And you can be proactive.
Right.
And the nice part is that you can either get the care that you need, or you can be introduced to some of the support systems or research that's being done and have first access to potentially life-changing treatments.
Right.
Absolutely. You know, it's early detection for any disease out there is key. You know, just like cancer, you get an early diagnosis, you have more success with the treatments that might be available. Right. It's the same thing with dementia. The earlier that you can get tested and figure out if this is truly a dementia, there are wonderful, you know, treatments and medications and programs that can help people live with quality of life. And I know that you guys are offering a lot of those over at ActivMed. Before we kind of get off the topic of kind of, you know, what dementia is and what Alzheimer's is, does Alzheimer's, could you share with the audience, everyone always asks this, is this something that runs within the family? Is it hereditary? Can you share a little bit of light on that?
Yeah, what the causes are.
The cause of Alzheimer's disease is a buildup of tau and amyloid plaque in the brain. So you've got the tau protein and the amyloid plaque that build up in the brain. And what it does is it creates tangles, and the tangles adhere and attach to the nerve cells, and when that happens, just like plaque on your teeth, it erodes underneath. So it kills off those neurons, which are pathways to your memories, pathways to your cognitive abilities to be able to remember how to do things, and your motor skills. The disease itself, as far as hereditary or not, there's still trying to determine exactly how much of it is hereditary and having the APOE3 gene and 4 gene, as opposed to your diet, your exercise, your health and wellness.
Your whole lifestyle.
Your lifestyle, exactly. So what they've determined, and this is from my research and reading up on and better understanding, is that 50% of the people who have those genes will be predisposed to developing Alzheimer's. Now, when they develop it, will probably have an impact on how their lifestyle is. Are they getting good exercise? Are they eating healthy diets? Are they exercising and learning new things? So are you using your brain? Or are you a person that sits down and watches the same shows all the time, does the same routine all the time, and doesn't get out and socialize? There are all those aspects that are important to keeping the brain moving and healthy.
Sure.
And that's something all of us can do, and everyone watching can do. That supports
have
health.
control over
that. That's one thing we have control over. So even when we have families at Bridges by Epic, they'll say, well, my grandmother had it, now my mom has it, what about me? We'll say, well, let's look at what you can control. You can control what you eat, you can control, you know, what you do, staying in touch with friends, making sure you get out, go for walks with your friends, you know, exercising, trying new things, learning a language or piano or something new. Those are all things we can do proactively, not just for memory care and strength, cognitive abilities, but also to fight all sorts of diseases. So
exactly. And as the disease progresses, places like the memory care at Epic, that is absolutely helpful to those individuals because they're getting that interaction with other individuals. They have activities that they're involved in every day. You're making sure that they're getting nutritious meals. So during the last phases that they're dealing with, they're not only safe because they're not able to wander, but they're getting all of those activities that are keeping them in a healthier state.
Right, like community.
Yes.
Community is so important for all of us, and especially in our culture in America, not to get us too off track, but we're so isolated as we age. And I think especially with the pandemic, we're even more isolated. So trying to broaden your social circle and be part of something bigger than yourself, which, you know, historically has come from church communities and temple communities, and Now we have to work a little harder for it, especially in the time of COVID.
These years, you know, we actually share with caregivers everything that you're saying, you know, everything from, you know, eating for good brain health, physical exercise, but most especially social engagement and stimulation are the top 3 things that you can do to, you know, slow down either the progression of dementia or to slow down, you know, like you said, anything that might be causing you to have, you know, any type of bad health.
Exactly. We are in control of our health to a certain extent. We aren't in control of our genetics. So if we know that we're predisposed to certain illnesses, then if we're proactive about making sure that we're making all the right healthy choices and getting involved in research early on to make sure that we're allowing ourselves the opportunity to have access to those treatments that aren't readily available yet because they're being researched. So it really can make a big difference in a person's life. So that's why I got so excited about working with Terry and ActivMed practices and research, because it gave me the opportunity to be proactive in helping other people. Excellent. I am thankful that Alzheimer's doesn't run in my family, but that doesn't mean that I'm, you know, not going to have that road. I need to take care of my health as well. Absolutely. Because, as I said, 50% of the people who have the gene will develop it in life at some point, but there are people that have had it for 15 years and it doesn't show up until they've had it for 15, 20 years. So it's because of lifestyles, it's because of constant learning that they've been able to keep their brain, you know, healthy and learning new things and new memories.
Sure.
So.
And you do all those things, right? So we're doing everything we possibly can. We're eating healthy, we're exercising, we're socializing, but one of the great things that you guys do at ActivMed is some of the trial and research and have available treatments that people can try out. And most excitingly, Biogen just came out with a new drug called Algehelm, and I would love for you to share with the audience a little bit about what's happening with that.
Okay. On June 7th, the FDA approved it. There's been a lot of controversy over it, as everyone knows, and I'll just put it out there. However, we were a part of the research that went on. When I started, my whole role of working with Terry was to bring awareness to the public about this new infusion drug that they were researching. And so I was a part of helping bring in enrollment and patients. So it was near and dear to me watching the whole progress of how research goes from an idea in the lab to the phase 1, to the phase 2, and then to phase 3. And phase 3 is the phase that we were involved in. And we did both of the studies, one in Portsmouth and one in Methuen. And so we did one of the studies that had the lower dosage that titrates up, and then the higher dosage that titrates up. And as you can imagine, as it's been FDA approved, there was a good efficacy enough for the FDA to say, we don't have a cure for this disease, and we don't have any treatments for this disease. We have drugs that are used for the symptoms that people get. Okay, so those are Aricept and Namendez. So those drugs are used to help with the anxiety and all of the things that come with the progression of the disease. At some point in time, a lot of the patients, I'm sure a lot of your residents, are on these drugs. And so those just are more for the symptoms of the disease. They're not doing any stop. They're not doing any cure. However, this new drug is not a cure. It is a treatment that in some cases is shown to stop the progression. Some cases is shown to reverse it, to remove some of the plaque, but the purpose is to get that protein out of the brain, to flush it out. And there are many people that are very excited about the opportunity and possibility of slowing down the progression.
Absolutely.
And so what I try and explain to people is, you've got your file cabinet. It's only for mild cognitive impairment. So it's the early stage. This is why it's so important for everyone to come in and get a free memory screening.
Right.
It's a mini screening. It gives you a base so that next year you can come back again for another free screening to determine if there's a decline and to go from there. But the best part is being proactive, because you have to be diagnosed with Alzheimer's in order to take this drug.
Sure.
So right now, the most definitive way to find out if you actually have Alzheimer's is a PET scan. And believe it or not, as I'm out on the road talking to people, some people think that the only way you can tell if somebody has Alzheimer's is postpartum and
Postmortem.
postmortem. I'm sorry,
And postpartum.
Yeah, there's that too. Most of the time, I'm sorry.
No, that's so true, because
Postmortem,
it's
yeah.
like old information, and then it changed quickly. And we like everything, we're always catching up to the new information.
And going and getting the free screening doesn't mean that you're committed to everything, but I feel like just having the knowledge is good, you know, especially if you feel like that you may be experiencing some memory difficulties.
And there are some normal changes in our brain. You know, after our 20s, our brain is in decline. So, you know, whenever we're talking in public about memory, and we're talking about signs and symptoms, you can sort of see people thinking, is that me? Do I have that? You know, certainly
There is normal aging and
normal
not normal
and there's
aging.
also normal stress, and there's normal memory loss of stress, and then there's some of us who have always had a bad memory. So just
Or are now under extreme stress.
yes,
The sandwich group.
right, exactly. Taking care of your parents, taking care of your kids. So that's all. So to get some sort of professional intervention, if you have the problem's there, whether you get help or not. So you might as well get the help.
Yeah, whether you acknowledge it or
whether
not.
you acknowledge it or not. And unfortunately, a lot of people, myself included, historically have made the mistake of thinking if I don't pay attention to it, it's not a problem. But especially with this, you can be very proactive and have a better quality of life.
Keep going.
My car's not making a funny sound. That's the beat of the rock and roll.
Well, this is all great stuff, and I know that just to kind of continue on with the research topic, because you guys are really, cutting edge with the research that you're providing. So I just want to, share a little bit more with the audience about, how you guys are involved in this research and what research and studies might be available to people right here in our neighborhood.
Well, right now, the Lowell Lawrence offices of New England Neurology are conducting some of our studies with us, as well as we have it in Methuen. So they come in, they'll do a free memory screening, and we actually have the green memory study going on right now. And this one is for mild and moderate. And they're really looking for people that are moderate. It is a oral medication, and it's based in brown algae. Okay, so it's a brown algae base that has shown to reverse the cognitive impairment in individuals in a previous study. So it is already approved in China, but they're doing a worldwide study right now, and they have found people with an MCI score of 18 within 30 days of being on drug have gone up to a 21.
Wow.
So to go 3 points in just 30 days is really
huge.
promising.
Yeah.
And the fact that this is the first one in a long time that is looking for moderate patients, this is fabulous.
Yeah, because often once you're moderate, we're looking for like more quality of life stuff. We're not looking to cure or to go in a different direction. So that's really exciting for people that have been living with this disease a little bit longer.
Especially, it just provides a ray of hope for caregivers and people living with this. Most especially in the moderate stages.
And there's a lot to be said for hope. I mean, even just the hopefulness of it sometimes can
trigger things.
Yeah, can trigger positive changes in your health. That's so interesting.
It is, so that is one of them. And just a note, we have been doing Alzheimer's studies for over a decade. We've been doing research for almost 30 years. So all different types of research has been going in, but over a decade ago, over 10 plus years, Terry started doing the Alzheimer's research. And one of the reasons for that is her mother had early onset, and she's now in moderate. And it's one of the things that is very close to her.
Sure.
And very close to her heart. But we have done we've completed over 18 Alzheimer's studies.
Wow.
So they are always coming to us. Right now, worldwide, there is over 300, U.S. In the U.S., there's over 320 studies going on for Alzheimer's.
Great.
We are part of several of them. We're part of GAP Foundation, which is Global Alzheimer's Platform Foundation, and they are working with pharmaceutical companies to bring the research faster through the process, helping to get subjects in. The one challenge that is really the hardest is bringing in participants, bringing people to help them understand the importance of research, because without subjects, without having people join a study, we can't find a cure. Right now we have a treatment which gives hope, because it's the first step in seeing something that can actually stop the progression, or slow it down, and in some cases reverse some of the damage that was done.
Right.
And it's definitely a movement that we need. I mean, Alzheimer's and dementia is going to be the next epidemic, because they do say that 1 in every 6 mailboxes has someone with dementia living behind the door.
Right.
So the efforts that everyone is making, it will pay off. And just kind of talking a little bit more about having people be a part of this initiative or these studies, can you share with the audience how they may be able to get involved or learn a little bit more? And I think a lot of times people ask, do I actually have to have memory loss or dementia to participate with the study? So just kind of a little bit on
so like
that.
the website, and then like what it's like to join in.
Okay, our website is ActivMedResearch.com, I'm sorry, and that active does not have an E at the end.
Okay,
so
we're going to leave that on the screen for you all.
because it can be tricky, but it's ActivMedResearch.com, and we have drop-down menus of the different studies that are going on. We're right now developing a new website that is Active Matters of the Brain, and they'll be all Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, all neurological,
great.
studies and information, and making it much easier for someone who's having cognitive issues be able to navigate them.
Brilliant.
That's awesome.
So that is something that we offer. We also offer free memory screenings, and we ask people, please go on and do the brain survey, because that's how we can help you better. Okay? We do look for periodically healthy subjects that have Alzheimer's in their family, that we would be able to get involved in studies. What we need is people who are interested in getting involved to fill out one of the forms online and let us know in the comment section what you're interested in. You could be interested in doing some volunteer work when we go out into the community, when I'm out there doing presentations, to help hand out information, to get more educated so that you can talk about the studies a little bit better. We also look for people who are interested in, some of the research studies that we're doing. So you can't get involved if you don't know about them.
Right.
And when you come in for a free memory screening, whether you qualify today or you qualify later on, it's an opportunity for us to see how we can help you.
Right.
And how in the future we will be able to. We are planning on having many supportive groups once this pandemic is over, that will allow people who are coming in for the infusions, because we will be doing the Biogen infusions.
Exciting.
Wow.
And that is very exciting. We got to go through the whole process of studying this medication and treatment and infusion to now we're ramping up to be an infusion site, because we have all the experience in mixing the drug, in administering, and doing the observation and working with patients already.
It's so exciting.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
And Biogen's very, very excited about us being able to do that.
I'm sure.
That's great. Wow.
I'm just curious, are you able to share with the audience a little bit of what it what it's like to actually be a part of the study, like a little bit about the experience?
As I've been part of some of the research studies that they've done at ActivMed, I can say the best part about it is that you're getting more one-on-one time with clinical staff than you do when you go to your doctor's office, because that's all we do.
Sure.
We don't treat colds, we don't treat, you know, anything except for that study. The best part is when you're sitting down to consider a particular study, they go through a consent process and they explain all of everything that you need to do, how many visits you're going to have. They go over the stipend. We have a stipend for their visits, so to help with the transportation and the time that their caregiver may have in it.
That's
great, yeah.
So they get a stipend for each time they come in for a visit. They're getting that extra care, that extra, you know, time to ask a physician questions and to be able to talk to a coordinator and go through the process. All of the testing, everything that is done is covered by the study. So insurance isn't needed or used. If they would like that information shared with family members or with their physician, they just sign a consent allowing us to share that information with, you know, them. And so they're getting excellent medical treatment and care.
And access to things that they don't.
Right,
that
exactly.
They can't get.
They have early access to life-changing treatments that may be approved, like Aduhelm with Biogen. So the people that were in the studies, they got early treatment.
I mean, how amazing is that?
That it's exciting.
Yeah.
The reality is that with every study, you have your placebo. So 30% of the subjects are getting a placebo, but with a placebo, you still see a positive impact because there's that word hope. So it's amazing what the brain can do, and
really
that's one of the reasons why you need to have a placebo group. Because there is a certain portion
degree
of it
that's psychological.
Psychological, exactly. And it's amazing to watch science at work. It really is.
Well, we thank you so much for the work you're doing. It's like so exciting that it's so local.
I know. It was such a short ride here.
I know.
Despite
You don't
traffic.
have to drive to Boston for these things.
What
You
a
just
great
don't.
opportunity for our viewers and certainly our residents and our residents' families. So.
And we encourage people to call and to set up a tour to see the facility. It's just like your doctor's office. You have your check-in, you have your exam rooms, you have your observation rooms. It's a wonderful place to work, and we have really excellent staff. They're caring. It really takes unique people to work in research.
Absolutely. And do you have that number off the top of your head to share with the audience?
Oh, gee, 978-655-7155.
That is amazing. Well, we can't thank you enough for being here and just sharing all this great information with our viewers. And like Erica said, thank you for all that you do. And thank you to our viewers for joining us for another Bridges to Community episode. We appreciate you and look forward to seeing you again.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you.